So I know that many of you have been asking me how to assemble the no battery finder, and rather than write instructions, what I thought I would do is just actually show you how it works, and so I'll just assemble one real quickly. So what we have here is I printed all the 3D printed parts. This is everything that's been 3D printed. I separately printed the glow-in-the-dark sights, and then of course printed off a label, and then I've got some screws and a screwdriver, that type of thing. Okay, so the first thing that I would want to do is this is the main part that'll be one of the sights, and you can see I've 3D printed this, and what I have to do to begin with is actually just take off a little bit of what's called support, and I've just done that, and so that's great. So now what I want to do is I want to take this guy right here, and I'm going to basically screw that in like this, and I'll screw that all the way down. And this will be the part that makes the upright adjustment. So I don't quite put it down, and what I do is I take the second part right here, which is designed to go inside, all the way down inside here. It's got a little place, a little groove. If you can see, I can actually put this guy right in there if I can get it to work here. Look at the camera and everything else at the same time. Okay, and if I do that, then I can actually push this in like this, and it'll lock. So at this point, when I raise this guy up, it goes up. You can see it's going up, and that's great. Okay, so that's where I really what I want. Okay, so then I have a wing nut right here, and you can see that there's a hole in the wing nut, and there's also a hole in the upright screw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply screw this on a little bit. I'll give it a few turns until I can see a really good, make sure I got the screw right here. There you go. So you can see that I've got the screw hole all the way through there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a screw. This is the screws that we use from the bolt department here. This is a 3mm by 1/2 millimeter by 8mm. The same ones that we use for the eyepieces, if you will, on the old style of the Star Blast. So what I'll do is I'll just start this bolt here if I can get it going. Okay. And I'll go back and make sure I've got this thing lined up where I need to. There you go. Okay. And it's already pre-threaded, or not pre-threaded, but it's got a place you can just do this. So all I'm going to do is just screw this all the way in. It's a pretty thin thread, so it takes a little while to do that, but that also means it's going to hold pretty well. Okay, so that's done now. So this, by the way, this 3D finder in my printer takes about 9 hours, and I know there's some probably adjustments we could do. So now at this point, this is working. It'll go up and down, and that's really what I'm after. All right, the second part is to put this guy on. This will go into the side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pre-printed washer on there that I've got, and I'll screw this into the part that's already been made for it, and I'll just screw this all the way in. You can see there's a hole right here that I've got in this one. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to get this bolt. I'm going to put one washer on there first, and put this bolt on here, and I'll just screw this on. So what I want this to be is pretty snug, not really tight, but tight, so to kind of make it feel like it's got some substance to it. And then I'll get my other screw right here. I'll put this in here. And I will go ahead and put that in. So you can see this is just going in. I don't really have to do any kind of drilling or anything else. So that's pretty much that. So now we have a working, it goes sideways, left and right. You can see here, it'll go sideways, left and right. And it'll go up and down, no problem. And there's no rubber bands or any kind of glue or anything like that. So now what I want to do is I want to take the sights and put those in there. Sometimes they'll go on this side, okay, which is what this one actually, whoops, I'll put it the other way actually. So I could put it this way right here and put it all the way, I could put it all the way in. I'm just going to push it in all the way. And I usually like to get them kind of upright, and they'll fit pretty tight. We may end up gluing these at the end of the day, but you can see that sight's in there pretty easily. And then I'm going to put the rear side, the front side in here as well. And I'm going to usually put that to the front like this. So I want these basically to be upright as much as possible, so that let's get this going here. So sometimes I find it's easier to go the other way. There you go. So I'm actually just pushing that in there. And at this point, I've got the sights in, and the only thing that I don't have done is I don't have the label put on. So I have pre-printed labels that I can print, and I print a bunch of them. This is just a few left over, and then I trim those labels like this. And so you can see it's pretty straightforward. And what I'll do is I'll put it on here like this. This is made to go to the Library Telescope website, and I'll move it. I'll actually laminate it first, put a laminate on, and then I'll put the laminate on here. And what I'll do is I found it's been real difficult to get these things to stick. I've tried the laminate, it doesn't stick really well. And I've tried shipping tape, it doesn't stick real well. So once you get the laminate on here, what we found, because this is just what I had, I just put a real lot of rubber cement on both sides right here, and here. And then when I put it down there, it'll do it in one piece pretty well. So, and it actually is holding pretty nicely. The laminate gives it a nice protection in terms of dirt and things like that. And the rubber cement, once it dries, it seems like it's holding pretty well. And so the only other thing that I would do is I have pre-drilled into here. You can see there's a little hole. So what we do is we actually put a zip tie. And this right here would be where you would clamp the red dot finder, the mount for the red dot finder right here. And then what we do is we put a zip tie and drill a hole in the mount of the red dot finder, excuse me. And then we would loop this through, and so this will make sure that it doesn't come off. In other words, it tightens it down. So anyway, that's a short, well, maybe not too short video, but it kind of shows what I do. It's pretty straightforward. Once you get these things printed, they do print pretty much upright. Whenever they're printing, each part prints upright. So you just have to make sure they stick really well to your 3D printer pad. And if you've been using hairspray, it seems like it's worked fairly well. And so that's it. So anyway, hope that worked for you guys. Thanks.